They declared humans too fragile for war, then watched them end it. In the beginning, humanity was not feared. It was studied, catalogued, measured, and quietly dismissed. Across the Orion Arm, where ancient civilizations stretched across thousands of systems, and wars were remembered not in years, but in eras, strength was the only currency that truly mattered. Not intelligence alone, not innovation, but endurance. The ability to survive radiation storms that could strip atoms apart, to thrive under crushing gravity that would turn weaker forms into paste, to fight endlessly across centuries without breaking. By those standards, humanity did not qualify. Earth was labeled a garden world, temperate, stable, predictable, a cradle, not a crucible. Its dominant species evolved not through constant extremes, but through adaptation, cooperation, and recovery. Humans broke bones and healed them. They lost wars and rebuilt. They suffered and remembered. To the galaxy, this was not strength. It was inefficiency. The Threxians, with their carbon-reinforced skeletons, could survive vacuum exposure for minutes. The Cathari processed information faster than most machines. The Virillians lived long enough to see entire civilizations rise and collapse like passing storms. And humanity, they aged, they tired, they died. Quickly. When humanity was finally granted an observational seat within the greater galactic network, the Council of Ascendant Species convened to evaluate them. It was not a ceremony of welcome, it was an assessment, a judgment. The chamber itself was ancient, constructed long before humanity had discovered electricity. Its architecture defied conventional geometry, designed to accommodate beings of vastly different forms. Towering entities loomed like living mountains. Others flickered as fields of energy. Some spoke in voices, others transmitted thought directly. At the center of it all stood a small delegation of humans, unarmored, unenhanced, mortal. "You have advanced quickly," the arbiter began. Its voice was not sound, but pressure, felt rather than heard. But speed is not the same as stability. A Virillian elder projected fragments of human history into the chamber: world wars, civil conflicts, moments of division. "You fracture under pressure," it observed. "Your species turns upon itself." Another voice followed, sharp, precise. "You limit your warfare with ethics. You restrain your own potential." A pause. Why? The human representative, a woman named Dr. Alara Vance, answered calmly, "Because we've seen what happens when we don't." The chamber dimmed slightly, not in respect, in disinterest. "Your response confirms our analysis," the arbiter concluded. "Your species lacks the necessary disposition for sustained galactic warfare." A ripple of agreement followed, cold, final. "You will remain under observation. You are not to be considered in matters of strategic defense." It was not a debate. It was a verdict. Humanity did not protest. They did not argue. They simply listened. And then they went home.
Years passed, then decades, then nearly a century. Humanity expanded, but not aggressively. They colonized carefully, built efficiently, studied everything. Their ships were not the largest, their weapons were not the most destructive, but their systems improved, quietly, relentlessly. They learned from every species they encountered, not just technology, but mistakes, patterns, failures. They studied war, not as participants, but as observers. Every battle recorded, every tactic analyzed, every defeat remembered. And slowly, without announcement, humanity began asking different questions, not how to win wars, but how to end them. The galaxy did not notice, because the galaxy was busy fighting its own. Then the silence began. It started at the farthest edges of mapped space. A mining colony stopped transmitting, then a relay station, then an entire system. No distress signals, no debris, no survivors, just absence. At first, it was dismissed as malfunction, then piracy, then internal collapse, until the Cathari investigation fleet vanished. They were not easily lost. Their ships operated in synchronized neural networks, capable of reacting faster than light-based communication delays. If something had destroyed them, it was something beyond known parameters. The Threxians responded next. They did not investigate, they attacked. A full battle fleet entered the dead zone, heavily armored, heavily armed, prepared for annihilation. One ship returned. Its hull was intact, but everything else was wrong. Its internal systems had been unraveled, not damaged, not destroyed, rewritten. The crew, what remained of them, could not form coherent thoughts, but one phrase repeated across every channel: they do not stop. Panic did not spread immediately. The galaxy was too old for panic, too experienced. Instead, it did something worse. It calculated, and the conclusion was unanimous. Whatever this was, it could not be fought.
Emergency sessions of the council were convened. Strategies were proposed, discarded, rewritten, discarded again. The enemy had no pattern, no communication, no weakness. It consumed, not out of hunger, not out of strategy, but because it did. And nothing slowed it. Humanity watched. They were not invited to the war councils, not considered relevant, not considered capable. But they listened to every transmission, every failure, every last recorded moment of collapsing fleets. And they understood something the others did not. The galaxy was trying to survive the enemy. Humanity began preparing to stop it. The turning point came at the Helios Gate, a nexus of stabilized wormholes connecting dozens of core systems. If it fell, the heart of galactic civilization would be exposed. Every major power committed forces. It was the largest defensive assembly in recorded history, and it failed. The enemy arrived without warning. As always, lines broke, formations collapsed, command structures disintegrated under pressure. Retreat was ordered, not as strategy, but as inevitability. And then, a new signal entered the system. Human, small fleet, insignificant by every known metric. "Identify yourselves," demanded a Virillian commander. "This is Admiral Elias Rook of the United Earth Coalition." A pause. "We are here to hold the line." "You will withdraw," the commander replied immediately. "You lack the capacity for engagement." Another pause. Then, "Capacity isn't what you think it is." The human fleet did not charge, did not defend. They moved. Ships spread across the battlefield in patterns that made no tactical sense. Not symmetrical, not defensive, not offensive. Something else. Sensors struggled to interpret the formation. "They're not preparing for battle," one officer whispered. "No," another said slowly, "they're preparing the battlefield." The enemy advanced, relentless, unstoppable, until the first anchor activated. Space bent. Not metaphorically, not visually, physically. It folded inward, collapsed in on itself. Entire sections of the enemy force vanished. Not destroyed, not scattered, removed. Silence followed. Then the second anchor ignited. Then the third. Panic spread, not among humans, among everyone else. "What have you done?" the Virillian commander demanded. The answer came across every frequency. Calm, steady, human. "We studied your wars," Admiral Rook said. "We studied your losses." A pause. "And we realized something. You're trying to survive the enemy." Another pause. "We're trying to end them." The anchors were not weapons. They were reality-breaking devices, constructs designed to destabilize localized space-time and force it into controlled collapse. Dangerous beyond measure, to everyone, including the humans deploying them. "You'll destroy the gate," the commander warned. "Yes," Rook replied, "and them with it." The final sequence began. Human ships held position, even as their hulls began to fail, not from enemy fire, but from the strain of their own technology. "Anchor 4, holding. Anchor 6, collapsing. Maintain formation." The enemy surged. For the first time, it reacted. "Admiral," a voice crackled, "we won't survive this." Rook's response was quiet. "I know." A pause. "That's why it works." The Helios Gate collapsed, not in fire, not in light, but in absence, a region of space that simply ceased to exist, along with everything inside it. The largest concentration of the enemy ever recorded. Gone. Across the galaxy, fleets halted. The advance stopped. For the first time, there was silence. Real silence. Not the kind that comes before destruction, the kind that comes after survival. The council reconvened. This time, humanity was present. No one spoke at first. The recording played. Again and again. Human ships holding formation, voices steady in the face of extinction. The moment they chose sacrifice, the moment they ended the impossible. The High Arbiter finally spoke. "We were wrong." No one objected. "You are fragile," it continued. "Your bodies fail. Your lives are brief." A pause. "But your resolve," another pause, "is beyond measure." Humanity did not celebrate. They did not demand recognition. They returned home, and they began preparing again, because they knew something the galaxy was only beginning to understand. War is not won by those who endure it. It is ended by those willing to change it. And when the next threat rises, humanity will not be underestimated. They will be remembered, because when the galaxy declared humans too fragile for war, they did not argue, they did not resist. They proved it wrong by ending it. And for the first time, the galaxy understood what it truly meant to be human. If this story moved you, subscribe for more human stories from the stars.